Guys, it's Pastor John here with Coram Deo Church. Just want to take a moment to respond to a question that we got not from last week, the beginning of Genesis chapter 2, but from the week before, which was the end of Genesis chapter 1. Here's the question. It says, the call to love children is clear, but how do we reconcile that call to protect and cherish children with the greatest sacrifices in the Bible, both Abraham and Isaac and the Father and Jesus? And this is a fantastic question. I love it because it indicates that people are thinking and processing and asking questions and trying to figure things out. And that's always such an important thing to do. When you're listening to a sermon or to any Christian teacher or speaker, you always want to be discerning. You always want to be thinking about stuff. So thanks for asking this question. These two instances are actually connected in the Bible. And there are details about both of these stories that I think help us to understand how can God say, love and cherish children on the one hand, and then we have a story of Abraham being called to sacrifice his child, and then of course the father with the son. Jesus. So there's some things to know. In Genesis chapter 22, it tells us the story of Abraham going on this journey. There seems to be a camp of people, a group of people, traveling with him to make this sacrifice on this mountain. And as Abraham is departing from this group, he speaks back to the group and seems to be indicating that they, being he and Isaac, will return from this journey. There's a clue at the very beginning there that Abraham seems to be onto something, that he's going forward in obedience, but his confidence is that he and Isaac, in fact, are going to return. Then we have a very interesting question, which I can't even imagine what it would be like to ask this question, but here is Abraham and Isaac on the journey up to the mountain where they're going to make the sacrifice, and Isaac's doing the math going, okay, we got the fire and we got all this stuff, but where's the lamb? And the irony is that the lamb is speaking there. And Abraham boldly states to Isaac that God himself will provide the sacrifice. And again, there's this sense in which Abraham has this foundational undergirding faith that God has promised a family through this son, that this is the son of promise, and therefore this must be the son that the nations come through, and he can't possibly lose this son. God must be doing something here. And so Abraham seems to demonstrate this confidence that although they are going up, and Abraham is going forward with this command from God to sacrifice his son, which is a test of Abraham's loyalty, that Abraham seems confident that they're both going to return, and somehow God is going to provide in such a way that Isaac will be spared. And of course, as you read the story, that's exactly what does in fact happen. God himself does provide the lamb, the sacrifice, and Isaac is spared. And from there we have Israel, and we have David, and then we have the son of David, who is Christ. And so this gets us to the other question about God the Father and the Son. And actually what's happening with Abraham and Isaac is a foreshadowing and type antitype kind of thing, where the story is being set up, where the father of a people is going to make a sacrifice of a son, and yet there's a substitute that is present for there. That story, that kind of template, that rhythm, that redemptive rhythm, if you will, finds its fulfillment, its climax in Jesus. It's John the Baptist who looks at Jesus and goes, it's the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. The one who is going to be sacrificed on behalf of the people is not Isaac, but it is in fact Jesus. And Jesus is that lamb that God himself provides. It is God himself in the person of Jesus Christ, who then goes to the cross, who suffers and dies. And Jesus makes it very, very clear, I believe it's in John chapter 10, that his life is not being taken from him. Nobody is doing a power play on Jesus to take away his life. Rather, he is freely offering his life as a sacrifice of redemption, of atonement, to purchase the redemption, the salvation of his people. So with the Father and the Son and the transaction that is happening there with the death of Christ, it is not the Father who is taking something from the Son as much as it is the Son who is giving of himself freely to the Father. And of course, we know that the story doesn't end with the death of Christ, and on the third day, according to the scriptures, that Jesus rose, and he who lowered himself has been raised. He has a name that is above all names. He is seated on the throne, ruling over all things. And so the end of the story for Jesus, of course, was not death, but his victory and glory and ascension. And so we do not have an instance where the Father is taking something from the Son. We do have an instance in which the Son is freely offering something up. And so I think that makes the story something other than an angry, cruel, bloodthirsty father taking the life of a reluctant son. And so we do have the Father who is loving his Son and is loving the obedience of his Son as that Son obeys even unto death, and then on the third day rises in victory and in vindication that he is in fact the Son who is beloved of the Father, the Lord of all creation, and the Christ. So I hope that helps answer the question. If not, if I missed what you were getting at, please feel free to email me, John, Jon, at quorumdeochurch.org. And also, if there's anyone else who has questions, please feel free to let me know. I'd love to hear from you. And if not, we look forward to seeing you this Sunday, 8:30, 10, or 11:30. All right, take care.